In this video, I will demonstrate how to add a class to your gradebook. I am signed in as a teacher, so I will go ahead and click on My Classes. I already have a number of classes added to my gradebook, but I will go ahead and click on Add Class. Now, before I do, I want to mention that you will only add classes that you teach and create assignments for. You might think, well, I'm a homeroom teacher and my students take other subjects like music or foreign language. You will let those teachers create their own classes in their own gradebooks. You can also see I'm signed in Term 4 right now, and that's because it's late in the school year. When you first arrive on this page, you'll be in Term 1. All right, let's click on Add a Class. This is very straightforward. You'll just complete this form to add a class to your gradebook. You'll be selecting a subject from the list. Now, if a subject is missing, you'll just ask your web manager to add that subject to your list. I will give this class a name that I can recognize. I'll say 4th grade social studies. I will select from our grading scale list. I want to make sure we have the correct grading scale. Will this class be using traditional letters, A, B, C, or O, S, and U? You have an option. I will stay with traditional letters. Do we want to round our term grades? This is a nice option for you. I think it's a good idea. You give your students a little bit of a bump if they're right on the edge of another letter grade. So make sure you're consistent with your school policy on that. You want to make sure this is set before you begin creating assignments and so forth. You don't want to wait until later in the school year and then decide that you're going to be rounding term grades. That could be a problem with accuracy. Okay, so I'm going to round my term grades. Now, we also have that option for the final grades. Now, your final grade is an overall grade for the school year. It's basically an average of the term averages. And you have an option if you want to round your final grades. Now, you can round your assignment scores. You have an option to do that. I generally do not recommend that. Now we're getting a little excessive with our rounding, but you do have that option. We have an option to auto zero missing assignments. This is a pretty simple idea, and that is anytime you mark an assignment missing, do you want to automatically plug in a 0 for that assignment? Now, you're not married to that 0. You can always change it as you need to, but this is just adding 2 steps to 1. So you mark an assignment missing and it plugs in a 0. Completely optional. This designation here, is this an honors class? And it's just a way of designating some classes as honors and some as traditional classes. You can leave it empty. For the most part, you'll just leave it empty. All right, class credits. This is relevant if your school uses GPA, and you might want to look into this. Are your classes worth a certain amount of credits? If you're not sure, just keep it at 1 for now, and then you can always change that later. But that is utilized when GPA or grade point average is calculated. And then this class will be utilizing, when you go to calculate GPA, what scale does this fall under? And for the most part, it would just be 1 GPA scale for your school. In my example here, I have 2. I'm going to select the first one. Okay, we now have an option to enroll students into our class. Do you want to go ahead and do this now? Now, you can do that later after you've created your class, but if you know that this class is for a particular homeroom, you can go ahead and add those students to your class right away. So we're ready to save our classes. Now, down below here, if you want to take a quick look at the classes you've already created, you can do that. That's just to help you as you're creating your gradebook. So we'll click on Save Class, and then you can review this information and then click Continue, and that will add a class to your gradebook.